Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening for the ARC's annual meeting. I'm Lori Ropa, and I have the privilege of serving as the executive director of this great organization. Now, there's a few items we have before we really get started. For the first time, we have closed captioning courtesy of the Zoom software. It isn't perfect, but it's pretty good. So please forgive any mistakes that it makes. I also wanted to let you know that we are recording the meeting this evening, and of course, you probably saw that. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see there's a Q&A feature for any questions that you might have throughout the program. So just go to that icon at the bottom, click on it, and type in your question, and we'll make sure that yours gets answered. The chat is also open if you'd like to comment or say hello to whoever's attending, but realize that that chat's not going to be monitored for questions. So again, if you have a question, please use the Q&A feature and we'll be sure you get an answer. The annual meeting is really a great opportunity for you to hear from our board president, Helen Petranczyk, about the many accomplishments of the ARC over the past year. And while this year is no different, Helen has asked me to start the program with a spotlight on some pivotal work that was done by our advocacy team and then embraced by our entire organization. The project was called Shifting Our View, and it began in spring of 2020, yes, right after the shutdown. It came from a deep desire to understand the advocacy experience through the eyes of the people who come to the ARC. To start along this path, we took a page from the for-profit world because they are frequently known for their innovation. The advocacy team and I dove courageously, though without any experience, into the world of personas and journey mapping to see what we could learn. These terms may not sound familiar to you, but they're tools that are typically used by tech companies and other businesses to understand their different customers' experiences. A persona is a composite sketch of a key customer in the business world. So in our case, it's the people who come to the ARC to be able to be served. Journey mapping is a process that helps us understand how each persona might experience interacting with us. So we went about creating a number of personas and mapped multiple advocacy journeys. Each persona, whether developed for an individual or a family, was given an entire backstory in addition to the situations that brought them to the ARC. We imagined what each person's state of mind might be when they reached out to us and how they would be feeling given what they were facing. We wondered what they were thinking each step of the way as we helped them think through their situation and supported them to make the best decisions possible. And then we mapped that same journey, interaction by interaction, through the eyes of the advocate. After all of our journey maps were done, we took considerable time and care to examine what opportunities we have as the ARC to ensure that all people who come to us have the best advocacy experience we can deliver. The direct advocacy takeaways were invaluable and numerous. But I have to tell you that the process did much more than that. It sparked some incredible thinking around advocacy across the lifespan and how our programs and structure actively supported or didn't support that. From many passionate and deep discussions, our team realized that our view of the programs had to change. They had to be cross-organizational and cross-lifespan to serve people best. After all, little people grow up to be big people. And what we now know is that our programs aren't the names that are familiar to you. They're not Life Ability, Guardianship and Other Options, or Mobilizing Families. They're not even children's advocacy or adult advocacy. They are Empowering Families, Supporting Self-Advocacy, Expanding Community Access, and Changing Community Perceptions. I know that that is a big shift, so I'm going to say it one more time. Our programs are really empowering families, supporting self-advocacy, expanding community access, and changing community perceptions. This was a truly pivotal moment for us. All of the newly identified programs impact everyone we serve at every stage of life. They're truly reflective of what the ARC is all about. Let me explain a bit more. Whether we're empowering a family to help their 10-year-old boy express his own frustration with something at school rather than expressing it for him, or we're empowering and supporting the family of a 65-year-old woman to talk with her and listen to what she wants for her own future, we are empowering families. The voices of individuals with IDD are the most important voices we can raise, and supporting self-advocacy is at the core of all we do. Teaching people with IDD to express their needs and wants for their own lives can be transformative. No one wants to live a life where things happen to them or for them. With self-advocacy, things happen in their lives because of them, or at the very least with them. People can achieve more self-direction, choosing paths for themselves with guidance and support of others when that's helpful. Self-advocacy is really key. The work that we do to expand community access ensures that we create a future where all people in our community, especially people with IDD, have a sense of belonging. Over our 60-year history, the ARC has always done this work, and in most cases, it was truly groundbreaking. Today, whether it's access to housing, education, playgrounds, jobs, or countless other parts of our community life, our clear focus on expanding community access continues to make a difference through influencing all types of decision makers in our community. And finally, the ARC changes community perceptions. By being last, I don't want to give you the impression that this is any less important than our other 3 programs. In fact, all our progress in all the program areas is tightly connected to this work. Students won't progress in school if professionals or parents underestimate their abilities. Employers won't hire people with IDD if we don't help them work through their preconceptions about people's capabilities. Neighbors won't become friends until we can make sure that people are simply seen as people with similarities and differences. We work purposefully to change community perceptions in all that we do. So as you can see, shifting our view was an exhaustive, months-long process that was truly transformational for us. It brought us to a place of clarity through big thinking, questioning our own assumptions, and genuine empathy. And when we brought our work to the entire staff team, there was full support of our new view of the ARC. I am so proud of all that we've accomplished together. And on behalf of the entire staff team, I really want to thank our board of directors for their trust and support as we moved through this incredible experience. 1 year ago, we embarked on a journey to shift our view. And in the coming year, you'll see the results of this work reflected in all we do and how we talk about it. We invite you to come with us. As part of the ARC, you too can become a part of shifting the views throughout our community. I'd like to turn it over now to our president, Helen Petranczyk. She has so many more things to share with you, and I know you'll enjoy hearing from her. Helen, it's all yours.
Thanks, Lori, and thanks for taking the time to explain the process of shifting our view for everyone. I think it is critical work that you've done, and I know that the full board agrees as well. Thank you all for attending the ARC's annual meeting tonight. The ARC has made an incredible amount of progress this past year, despite so many unprecedented challenges in our community and the world. It is so important that you, the members of the ARC, know what's been accomplished by our organization this past year. Lori, as our executive director, has just now given you a look inside the process that the staff team went through to shift our view. I want to mention again that this took place during a global pandemic and also while short-staffed. Willingly and successfully, the team navigated this unknown path to determine how they could effectively continue to deliver information and their support of individuals with IDD and their families. It's just amazing work. Though COVID is probably the factor that impacted us most, and I'll talk a lot more about that in a minute, it's important to acknowledge that COVID wasn't the only thing that happened in the last year. Social injustice and unrest, raging wildfires, an election period unlike any other in history, just to name a few. All of this created the most stressful time period ever. And this team did what they always do. They figured out a way to provide whatever was needed and then gave it. But COVID was the catalyst and cause of so many crises, and none of us escaped its impact. People lost jobs and homes. we became isolated. We experienced physical health issues and just as many mental health issues. The accumulated effect of these many impacts was overwhelming at times. The IDD community was not immune. In fact, the effects of the pandemic were magnified for them. The adults we serve were frequently among the first to lose their jobs. Day programs were closed. People became increasingly isolated, and though it was done in order to keep them safe, it had devastating effects. And what about the children with IDD? Online school is difficult at best for most students, so think of those kids that need tactile demonstration of how to do something, or kids who need therapies, including speech, occupational, or physical therapy. And how does the family successfully become the primary teaching support for their child when they too must work and support the rest of the family? Throughout the pandemic, the ARC continued to provide high-quality advocacy, communication, education, and because of the pandemic, a lot of crisis management. No one who contacted the ARC went away without receiving answers and support within the boundaries of this new environment. Instead of in-person meetings, there were Zoom meetings or phone calls, lots and lots of Zoom meetings and phone calls. But that's what this team does. They adapt to whatever's going on and they figure out a way to get it done. There are stories I could share of families who lost their home and we were able to help them find a new place to stay. Of families without the ability to pay their bills, and we found an agency or organization able to provide the funds to pay those bills. Of individuals accused and incarcerated and denied the right to defend themselves the way they needed to. Of individuals and families devastated because of the death of one of their own. And through it all, the ARC continued to serve, continued to live the mission. And I quote, "The ARC promotes and protects the human rights of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and actively supports their full inclusion and participation in the community throughout their lifetimes." Medical care, always a concern for people with IDD, came to the forefront during this past year. Pre-pandemic, the disability movement had made great strides in the medical community. Finally, many medical professionals understood the importance of having advocates present with a patient with IDD for admission and treatment, whether they were family members, friends, or other supportive individuals. We also made significant progress educating medical providers not to assess someone's quality of life based on their own, but based on the life that individual was living prior to their illness. And finally, we had also made some strides in helping medical professionals see the importance of self-determination for their patients with disabilities, and that individuals with IDD could, in most cases, and with the right supports, make their own decisions. When COVID was declared a global pandemic, these hard-won rights disappeared. Our chapter, along with the entire ARC chapter network, fought for the rights of individuals with IDD to ensure they would not be denied life-saving measures based on their disability and that they could have the personal support they needed during treatment. This fight resulted in an executive order from Governor Polis prohibiting discrimination in medical care based solely on disability. There were, and still are, lots of challenges in this arena, and the ARC continues to address them, one by one, group by group. Here are a few other things that were accomplished this past year, in addition to navigating through the pandemic. Our chapter, in partnership with DDRC, Jefferson County Public Health, and STRIDE, was able to coordinate and hold a vaccine clinic specifically for people being served by the ARC and DDRC. 465 people were vaccinated in our community due to this collaboration. COVID resources and information was researched and made available on the website and in our weekly e-updates. This in and of itself was a huge effort as the details changed often and needed to be updated constantly. Porchlight, a family justice center, opened earlier this year. This joint effort to bring together essential services for victims, survivors, and their children offers information and resources in one place for individuals who have been the victims of any kind of abuse, including victims with IDD. Crisis intervention education and training was provided to law enforcement. A first ever virtual Summit of Hope was developed and delivered in October of 2020 to an audience of about 200 Zoom attendees. Lori was able to renegotiate the office lease and move into smaller but totally wonderful space in the same building, saving a considerable amount of money that could be put toward programs. Like many of us, staff learned to work from home and found that worked just fine most of the time. I truly believe that it was in part due to living in this strange new world that the shifting hour view work was able to take place and was so successful. We were more open to change because we had to be. And last but not least, plans were developed and launched to celebrate the ARC's 60th anniversary this year. There are many activities currently taking place to highlight the individuals who've been served by the ARC, including 60 Voices Who Shine, a photo scrapbook, and more. Stay tuned. I want to acknowledge each of the staff by name because you, the members of the ARC, should know who these crusaders are. Our communications and outreach team consists of Valerie and Brent. Development is managed by Jennifer. Technology and events are the purview of Erin, and thank you, Erin, for making this meeting possible tonight. Our children and family advocacy team is Patricia and Sally. Our adult advocacy team is made up of Brianna, Gilda, Jeannie, Ashley, and Kelly. Our office manager, who makes it all work together, is Linda. And last but not least, you've met our executive director, Lori. This is the group that kept the train moving in the right direction this past year. While each of these individuals has a particular focus, they all work together to accomplish the goals of the ARC collectively. They are connected with each other every step of the way, no matter what the specific task is. While the credit for the team's success absolutely goes to everyone, I do want to acknowledge that Lori, as their leader, provided exceptional leadership through this past year. Short-staffed, short of money. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that funding was down considerably. Crisis management 100% of the time, our world was irrevocably changed. Lori and the staff as a team deserve a round of applause. I want to close with some observations and some thoughts about the future. This is my last year as board president. Actually, this is my last day of my last year. I've been board president for 5 years, and in that time have witnessed and helped facilitate a lot of growth and change. I'm proud of a number of things. The exceptional relationship and collaboration with the staff, the Resource Development Committee that has made considerable progress towards building relationships as well as donations, the Finance Committee's work to develop a new investment policy and subsequently, through an RFP, select a new investment advisor. The Governance Committee that this past year accomplished the huge task of reviewing and revising our bylaws. You'll see the fruits of that labor shortly. The Guardianship Committee that supports the board with the ARC's legal responsibility for the lives of 5 individuals was able to navigate the new world of quarantine and vaccines on behalf of those for whom we are guardian. And a brand new effort called the Beacon Task Force that will develop and guide the board through a process of future thinking. What do we need to be ready for in 3 years or 5 years or even 10 years? I'm not sure if you're aware, but every board member serves on a committee. So this brief and very incomplete list of accomplishments is a credit to everyone on the board, and I'd like to mention them by name as well. Dave Miller, who is our vice president and serves on the governance committee. Dave Norwood, our treasurer for the past 4 years and chair of the finance committee. Karen Quinkert, who's been a member of every committee and sometimes the chair, and most recently has been the secretary. Mark Lancaster, who's been a director of the ARC for many years and a part of the ARC family for much longer, has led the guardianship committee for the past 3 years. Donna Gunnison is another long-term director who, much like Karen, has served on most of the committees, including resource development and Beacon. Abby Stanley is just concluding her 2nd year on the board and is a member of both the Resource Development Committee and Beacon Task Force. Connor Stanley, also a 2-year director, is a member of the Resource Development Committee. Sharon Yee has been on the board 4 years and is chair of the Resource Development Committee, and she's also a member of the Guardianship Committee. Scott Feeble has been on the board for 3 years and serves on the Resource Development Committee and Guardianship. Miranda Connor, just completing her 1st year and is part of both the governance and Beacon committees. Allie Moffitt has been with us 1 year and serves on the Finance Committee and Beacon. And Holly Kreidler, who came to us last year as well, currently leads the Beacon Task Force and is a member of the Resource Development Committee. Given all of the accomplishments you've heard about today, you may be wondering what else we could possibly be gearing up for in this coming new year. Well, be prepared to hear from us quite a bit. The ARC is going to embark on its next strategic plan, and we're going to want your participation. The process likely won't begin until late fall, but without your input, we can't be sure that we're being responsive to our community's needs. So more will be coming your way. Keep your eyes open and join us on this journey. I want to thank you again for attending this meeting, for celebrating our accomplishments with us, and for the honor and privilege to serve this incredible organization. And now I'd like to turn the meeting over to Karen Quinkard, who will lead us through the election process.
Thank you, Helen. I am pleased to present these candidates for election for the upcoming term. These new candidates have been selected by the Governance Committee and approved by the board. They are being presented to the membership for terms beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th of 2023. Tina Cooper is a recently retired Lakewood resident whose career as a leader in the corporate world has provided her with keen insight into the organizational structure, communications, and management. Tina has held leadership positions with several nonprofits working to help students obtain financial aid. Tina has expressed that serving on the ARC's board will allow her to utilize her talents and expertise by contributing passionately to an organization that promotes and protects the rights of all people with IDD. Mary Monet is a Golden, Colorado resident who enjoyed a long career serving others in a variety of roles, both in the public and private sector. Presently, Mary serves on the Governance Committee for Porchlight, a family justice center for Jefferson County and Gilpin County. Mary has a cousin with IDD and seeks to serve on the board of directors to help the underserved IDD community. This helps fulfill her life commitment of caring to make a difference. Rob Smariga is a returning board nominee with extensive experience in nonprofit organizations. He currently works in an organization supporting teachers to provide a more effective science curriculum for their students. Rob has demonstrated commitment to individuals needing support through his previous service on the ARC board of directors and 20 years of participation with the Big Brothers Big Sisters Mentoring Network. The following seated board members are standing for re-election by the membership for terms beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2023. Mark Lancaster has served on the board since 2011 and has been a strong voice for self-advocates. For the past several years, he has served as our guardianship committee chair and also is actively engaged in our Spark Awards committee. He provides valuable insights to the board based on his experience. Dave Norwood was appointed to the board in September of 2017 and is now being presented on the ballot for re-election. He has served as a director, a member of the Finance Committee, and as treasurer of the ARC. The ARC holds a special interest for him as he is very close to his brother-in-law who has an IDD. Abby Stanley is a returning board member who is completing her first term and is honored to continue to serve the ARC for a second term. She has a special connection to the ARC through her older brother with IDD. As an ARC board member, she has discovered even more about the depth and impact of our organization. Sharon Yee is also a returning member with 2 years of service. She's an IT manager for First Bank and has 20 years of experience in the information technology field. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Sharon cites this Gandhi quote as a guide for her direction in life. She works to make a difference in our community. Sharon will bring to the board her success in leading teams and engaging people. I would like to make the following motion. On behalf of the Governance Committee, I motion to approve the election of these candidates.
And I'll second that motion.
You will now see the poll on your screen. Members who have not already voted by paper ballot may vote now. Clearly, the motion has passed. Congratulations to all the newly elected and returning board members. I'm looking forward to working with you this year. We're now moving to the approval of the changes to the bylaws. A link to these changes was provided to you electronically and also mailed to those members requesting a long electronic version. I would like to review the major changes. The changes in Article 3 membership. The change in Section 1 reflects the desire that everyone who gets help from the ARC can choose to be a member and they don't have to pay dues. People can also be members if they donate any amount of money. The previous family membership category was eliminated. The change in Section 2, privileges and responsibilities, clarifies that each member can vote at the annual meeting. Members also automatically belong to the ARC of Colorado and the ARC US. Section 3, resignation and termination. This change clarifies that members can choose not to be members at any time. The ARC can take away membership if someone doesn't follow the ARC's code of ethics. The changes to Article 7, Section 6, board powers, clarify that the board is responsible for the future of the ARC and can only spend money to help people with IDD, and it can only spend money if it has it. Article 10, committees. This change adds the Resource Development Committee to the list of standing committees. This committee works to help raise money for the ARC. So these are the changes. If you have any questions to the proposed bylaws, please enter them into the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. We will give it a minute or so for questions before we move on with the motion.
Doesn't look like any questions, Karen.
Okay, looks like we are ready for the motion. On behalf of the Governance Committee, I motion to approve the submitted changes to the bylaws.
And I'll second the motion.
You will now see the poll on your screen. Members who have not already voted by paper ballot may vote now. Okay, this motion passes as well. I would like to personally thank the Governance Committee for the hours of hard work that went into the review and revision of these bylaws. Thank you all for your participation in this process. Your vote is necessary in order for the organization to make the changes needed to move forward. I'm turning the meeting back to Helen.
Thanks, Karen. I want to take this opportunity to honor our two outgoing board members. We have two folks who are leaving us, Scott Feevel and Connor Stanley. Scott's been a board member for 3 years, but he's been involved with the ARC for many, many years before that. While on the board, he has served on the Resource Development Committee, providing his expertise as a small business owner. In fact, Scott acquired a new business in the middle of the pandemic and continues the work of both enterprises. He also has served on our Guardianship Committee. For many years, Scott has been our Santa's helper at the holiday party and has been a chronic picnic volunteer and involved in most of our events over the year. He believes in and supports our mission and vision, and I suspect that we have not seen the last of him. Scott, thank you so much for your service. Connor Stanley joined the board 2 years ago. He has a brother with IDD and brought the sibling perspective to the board. He too served on the Resource Development Committee, and his creativity and out-of-the-box thinking, it'll be missed. He was also a member of our Beacon Task Force, where the board is thinking about the duty of foresight that we as a board and as an organization need to be prepared for 3, 5, or even 10 years down the road. Connor is returning to school while continuing to work full-time and is as committed as he is to the ARC's future. My guess is that we will continue to see him often. Thank you, Connor, for your service.
I would like to take a moment to thank Helen. Thank you, Helen, for your years of hard work, dedication, and service. It's been an honor serving on the board with you during your term as president, and I especially appreciate the mentoring that you had offered me. Thank you so much.
Karen, you're welcome personally, and as well as the entire board. I'm privileged to have served in this capacity for the 5 years that I have. I want to thank all of our members for attending this evening and for participating in this process of the annual meeting. It's critically important that our membership be a part of what it is we do and how we do it. Thank you again, and good night.